Good
evening, Bhante and everyone.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, Bhante. Good evening,
Good
everyone.
evening, everybody.
Good evening, Bhante. Good evening,
Good evening.
everyone.
Evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
Vandami, Bhante. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. All right. Good evening, everyone. I hope that you've been having a good time with your Chinese New Year. We had a break last Thursday. We'll take one more minute for others to join in.
Good evening, Bhante.
Yes, good evening, Samita.
Sadhu.
All right, let's get started by paying respect to them. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So we have been discussing about Metta Sutta. Metta Suttas, I think a couple of stanzas have been already discussed. And today it's going to be, I think, section number 5. It's what we're going to be discussing. As you can see here. Yeah. Dittha va eva addittha yecha dure vasanti avidu. Bhuta va sambhave siva sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. I think every word, be that a noun, adjective, or another form, carries certain meanings. So we will be looking at the meaning after. Once again, dittha va ye va addittha yecha dure vasanti avidure. Bhuta va sambhave siva sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. All right, so I'm going to be giving the opportunity to groups. So group 1 is anybody who would like to recite this stanza. Yeah, yes, answer.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes.
Dittha va yeva adittha Ye cha dure vasanti avidure. Bhuta va sambhave siva. Sabbe sattha bhavantu sukhitata.
Can you read this part again? Bhutava,
Bhuta va sambhave siva.
sambha.
Sambhave
Can say
siva.
sambhavi, but sambhavi. See, there's a H. You can see the H over here.
Yes.
Let's see, H sound. All right. Yes, and then we're asking somebody from group 2. Yes, Mayon.
Dita wa ye wa adita. Ye cha
What is that?
dita wa ye wa adinta.
Huh?
Adita. Adita.
Yeah.
Ye cha dure wasanti avedure. Bhuta wa samba vesi wa. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitata.
The first word, how did you pronounce the first word? First line?
Dita. Dita wa
Dittha.
Dita wa Dita. Dita wa ye wa adita.
Yeah, great.
Thank you, Bhante.
Then somebody from group 3. There's someone from group 3. Is that Chupeng? Yes, Chupeng, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Dita wa ye wa adita. Ye cha dure wasanti avidure. Bhuta wa sambhave siva. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitata.
Right. And
Thank
group
you.
4. Someone from group 4. Group 4.
May I Bhante?
Yes, Rashmi.
Dittha va yeva adittha. Ye cha dure vasanti avidure. Bhuta va sambhavesi va. Sabba satta bhavantu sukhitatta.
Sabbe.
Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta.
Yeah, great. Group 5. Group 6. Yes, is it done?
Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah.
Dittha va yeva adittha. Yecha dure asantid abidure. Buddha va samba vesiva. Sabbe sattha bhavantu sukhitata.
Great.
Thank you.
Group 7. Yeah, group 7. Anybody from group 7? Not group 8. Yes, Doris.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah.
Ditta cha dure vasanti avidure. Buddha va sambhave siva. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitata.
I think your line got kind of stuck at the time you
Yeah,
were
it's not. Yeah,
reciting the first line. Can you go ahead with the first line again?
okay. Ditta va ye va aditta ye
Yes,
cha
great.
dure.
I heard the rest.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you, Bhante.
Chong Pakla. Yes.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes.
Ditta va yi va aditta. Yi cha dure vasanti avi dure. Bhuta va sambhavesi va sabbe sata bhavantu sukhi tata.
Great.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes. And anybody else? I'm leaving the opportunity to others. Yeah, we could get started with Paripurna. Yes, Paripurna.
Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
Ditta va ye va aditta, ye cha dure vasanti avidure. Buddha va sambhavesi va, sabe sata bhavantu sukhi tata.
Yeah, great. And we have Susan.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, Susan. Yes.
Ditta va ye va adita, ye chadure vasanti avidure, bhutava sambhave siva, sabe sata bhavantu sukhitata.
Great. And then
Thank
we have
you.
Seri.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes.
Ditta va ye va aditta. Ye cha dure vasanti avi dure. Buddha va sabba vesiva. Sabe satta bhavantu sukitata.
Can you go with the third line again, please?
Buddha va sambha vesiva.
Sambhave Siva.
Sambha vesiva.
Sambhave Siva. Okay.
Sambha vesiva.
Siva. There's a small typo. It has to be va. Okay. Bhutava Sambhave Siva. Couple places actually.
Oh.
Probably we're going to make them. Has to be va. Oh. Ichadure Vasanti Avidure. Bhutava Sambhave Siva. Yes. Yeah. So, no. All right. Good.
Thank you, Bhante.
Then we have Billy. Yes. Yes, Billy.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes.
Dikta va ye va aditta. Ye cha dure vasanti avidure. Bhuta va sambhavesi va. Sabbe sata bhavantu sukitata.
Great.
Thank
And
you.
we have yes, Young SM.
Thank you, Bhante. I try.
Yes.
Ditta wa ye wa ditta ye cha duri wasanti avi duri Buddha wa sambhave siva sabbe satta bhavantu sukhi tata.
Okay, so concerns about the first two lines. Ditta
wa ye wa aditta ye cha duri wasanti avi duri.
So these two, yeah, these two words have to be pronounced as not duri. There's no e. It is a. Dure. Avi dure.
Okay. Ye cha dure wasanti avi dure.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else?
Bhante, can I try? I just reached home.
Yes, Melinda. Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Ditta va ye va aditta ye che dure vasanti avidure. Buddha va sambhavesi va sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitata. Thank you.
Ditta va yeva. How did you say?
Ditta va yeva aditta.
Aditta. Okay, great.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
great. All right. Anybody else? All right, looks like no. So now we are going to discuss about the stanza. Okay, this was stanza number 5. Now, what can you see over here? Now, you just stop the share here. If you look at the stanza, you would see that Buddha is asking us to think about certain manifestations of animals, beings, right? Certain manifestations. When you say certain manifestations, there is an earlier perception that people may have that we don't care about manifestation. We just practice metta to anything. This is the normal idea that we all have been informed. We all already know. But it is not as such. That means there are certain manifestations of metta that if you really want to practice metta in the proper way, the Buddha asks us to think about these, what you call, different aspects of metta, different manifestations. Manifestations mean here, as you can see here, the beings who are at different places. That means location matters, isn't it? Location matters. Now, in a normal metta practice, what people do is that may everybody in the north, south, west, east be well and happy. They never say southwest, northwest, as such. But anyways, they go for a normal direction plan. And there are certain suttas like Attakanagara, where the Buddha says, even the metta meditation, metta practice actually, meditation, metta practice can take somebody to Nibbana. I given a couple talks about it actually. In this sutta called Attakanagara, that means metta is enough for somebody to attain Nibbana. But not just the metta. When somebody practices metta to a certain level, that person has to understand my metta practice is what you call condition. That means it is under sankhara. And my metta practice is volitional. That means I have put certain thoughts into my mind that I want to practice metta. And then thereby looking at the anicca perspective of my metta. That is how somebody can attain Nibbana through even metta practice. In that particular sutta, Buddha says, yes, directions can work. But if you take metta as a structured practice, which we understand in the Metta Sutta, we need to understand that certain other manifestations matter. Now, one manifestation that we know here is location. Not even location. Certain states of beings, like I would say, beings who are at the moment already born, living with us, beings who passed away already, looking for a next life, right? There are certain things. If you can go back to the stanza over here, as you can see, now, ditta, aditta, these are actually visibility. Visibility matters, right? And here, dure, avidure, location matters. Here, the state of being matters. Bhutavas. So we're going to look at these 3 dimensions today. Visibility, location, and state of life. Let's go for the first one. Ditta, ditta means seen. Aditta means unseen. Ditta, aditta. Va, o, ye, aditta. These are some prepositions where we understand where, location, what do you call, location perspective in terms of the area. Okay, let's talk about ditta and aditta. What beings can we see? What beings can we not see? It's a good place to start. Any thoughts? Now we see each other, okay? And we see beings nowadays on different, platforms, maybe online, maybe television, sometimes. On the other hand, there are certain beings probably many beings that we cannot see because of our inability to see them in our naked eyes. Aditya could be beings who we cannot see because of the presence of a certain place, or beings that we cannot see through our naked eyes, or beings that we cannot see because our thoughts have not been cultivated to a level of that, what you call, stages. For example, Cheto Pariyaya, Buddha and some arahants have this eye called Dibbachaku, divine eye. When they have divine eye, they can see anything, anybody in the world, in the universe. So there are three ways to look at it. That means beings that we cannot see because we are located in one place. Beings that we cannot see because our naked eyes are not perceptible to that level, like, amoeba, virus, bacteria, we cannot see them without certain support. And beings we cannot see because our spiritual eye has not been developed to a level that we can see them. Interesting, right? So now, when you practice metta, you should be able to think about these areas. Now, how do many people practice metta? May I be well, happy, peaceful, may no harm come to me, difficulties come to me, and all that. And they are going one by one to the known ones, to the unknown. So you must say, may my parents, family members, siblings, relatives, friends, I don't know, somebody can practice metta to enemies. Should be able to practice metta in a different way. And also all living beings. But this all living beings category must be defined, must be detailed according to this way. That means ditta, aditta, seen and unseen. Now let's categorize them. How about beings that we cannot see because we are in a certain location? Yes, we do understand. We cannot see them because we are in a certain location. And beings that we cannot see because our naked eyes are not perceptible, not what you call capable enough to see them, like some tiny creatures. Right? It's also very clear to all of us. And all the other rest of the beings who we cannot see, such as non-humans, right? These non-humans, they could be hellish beings, they could be divine beings, they could be Brahmas. So these beings exist, but we don't see them. That means even we don't see them, we should be able to practice. Now here the idea is that even you don't see them, just because of your incapability of your eyes, naked eyes, or maybe you haven't developed your eyes in a spiritual ways. Maybe you are not supported by certain tools, gadgets to see them in the modern scientific experimental ways. But still, at that point, we are supposed to think about, we should be able to practice metta. So nobody should be excluded in practice, in your metta practice. That is visibility. Visibility matters. That's very interesting. All right, second thing is, these Pali words you can see, ditta, aditta. These are called past participles. I'm not going to actually discuss Pali grammar stuff. Dit, ditti means we, but when you say ditta, that means past participle, having seen, having unseen. Right? So anybody, any being that you can see, that you can see, you must be able to practice metta to all of them. We will discuss any problems with this practice later when you are given a chance. Second, now this is directly, precisely about the location. Dure, avidure, vasanti means live. Vasati, vasanti. Live. Dure, far, avidure, near. This is another way to understand about beings in terms of metta. How do we do that? Let's say now in the epicenter of you are, there's an epicenter of your metta. Let's say you are somewhere now in your country. Then your epicenter goes around your city, and then you are going to extend metta to different areas, right? It means regardless of the place, whether they are near to you, whether they are far to you, but you are still going to practice them, right? That means in another way, although people are far away from us, our metta bondage does not stop, right? This is what it says. Now, forget about metta. Think about your personal love towards your parents and your spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, I would say your siblings. You still want to keep that happening. Personal love and then the metta. These are two things we have to understand. Should not be able to forget about one or the other. The understanding is that you should understand the level of greed in your personal love. If you understand that, it should be fine, it should be okay. So, I think even so far at this point, you understand that even your loved ones are scattered across the world, you're still going to keep up with, you're still going to talk, still going to, keep the love all the time, because you want to feel it. Distance does not stop anything. So if that is so, why not metta? Right? Why not metta? That means it can definitely reach up to any being in this whole universe. Somebody asking about UFO. Yes, if they exist, yes, why not? All right, so this is what we understand by location, near and far. That means even people go away from us, far away destinations, but there's no problem to metta. Metta is going to work. Metta does not stop. But if you are somebody who has a very selfish level of friendship with somebody, when they are going away from you, might think, oh, no, they are not near to us anymore. This happens, especially cheating stuff, cheating, deceiving people. They are not here. I can do whatever I want. But if you look at metta, you are not doing as such. Wherever they are, you are going to maintain your metta practice without a problem. Even for the loved ones, even they are not here, we are mentally, spreading that personal love in that particular good way without going on to greed. And then here, metta, in terms of any being in this universe. We still have to discuss certain things. We will discuss them later. I just want to go by certain definitive words. All right. Now we going on to the status of being. Now, status in terms of death, existence, death, and then rebirth. Bhuta, Sambhavis. These are very interesting words, actually. You can see them in the translation. Those who have been born, those who are about to be born. All right. Bhuta va Sambhavis. Bhuta here means those beings who have already born. Then Sambhavesi, those who are going to look for a rebirth. But they should be Bhutas too, right? I mean, how can you look for a place without having a certain state of life, existence? But that's a very, that may be a short time, you know, when the, what do you call, Nam, especially the consciousness, departs a certain body, then the consciousness in that particular shortest time possible becomes very genius. It is said in many places, right? So that means this is the time consciousness, the sansaric consciousness, has to find another physical body faster without getting stuck in any unnecessary places. So now let's say somebody passes away. Once that person passes away, that person cannot stay longer without a body. In that shortest time possible, that person has to look for a physical body. He or she has to find it, or this, not she or he. This is a genderless kind of a situation. When the consciousness departs, it's going to be genderless, has not come to a certain gender. So at that point, this sansaric consciousness cannot stay alone, has to go for a rupa. Because consciousness cannot survive without a rupa. Rupa cannot survive without consciousness. Nama rupa. Right? There's a famous sutta for that, right? The two oxen, white ox and the black ox, they are tied together. Somebody is asking, which ox is bound to the other ox? Is it the black ox bound to the white ox? The white ox bound to the black ox, right? It's because it's mutual binding each other, right? Anyways, so now here we have to understand what can happen to anybody when they pass away. When they pass away, their consciousness departs. The body drops to the floor, drops to the ground. And then this could be the moment where we understand a sambhavisi, a consciousness which looks for a next life. So there are multiple factors affect consciousness to, find out satisfiable body, a roop actually. Let's talk about bhutas first and then go to the sambhavisi. Bhuta. Now bhuta, the word bhuta, let's go see again this Pali word. Bhuta. It's an interesting word actually, to misunderstand. Bhuta. Now, Bhuta carries certain Pali contexts. One context that is very famous is about the truth. In Pali, we call the truth in multiple words. One is Satcha. Satcha means the truth. Bhuta is also another word for the truth. You have heard this Pali word called Bhutavadi. Abhutavadi nirayanti. The one who is lying. Abhutavadi, which is opposite of Bhuta. The one who lies will go to the hell. Right? Abhutavadi. Bhuta means truth. Okay, truth. That means one translation of the Bhuta is truth. But here Bhuta means a being who has been reborn on. Because we cannot say the first life of somebody. The Buddha says, Anamatagoyang sansaru, Ubba koti na panyai. Monks, I cannot see even the starting place of somebody's life. He says in one of the words, Anamatagoyang sansara. Sansara is infinite. Ubba koti na panyai. I cannot see the first life of somebody. That means it's still carrying backward. So in that way, another idea, translation of Bhuta is Bhavati. Bhavati means be, anybody who is in the samsara. Here, a being who has been reborn. Right? Why people are reborn? Why is it? Is it because of their sansaric karmas have not been finished? Their sansaric karmas are yet to exist because they have not finished. Now we need good karmas to live. At the same time, some akusalas also can happen, right? On the side, as a side thing. So when people are scared of akusalas, they are doing a lot of good karmas. Then sansara is going to work. But we are supposed to do good karmas because we never know when we are able to stop the samsara. But we have to stop the samsara in a peaceful way. Some people, they hate their life. We have to peacefully stop the samsara. Like in the Abrahamic religions, they say, rest in peace. Right? At them, you get their way of thinking. Peace is better than pain. Looking at somebody's passing away, somebody who has been struggling a lot with the pain. When that person passes away, they're looking at it. Peace is better than pain. Their way is that rest in peace. But our peace is different. The way how we look at Nibbana, extinction, permanent stopping of samsaric, I would say, karmas. So now here, another meaning is that, of course, the famous meaning is that beings who have been reborn. Now, we are supposed to understand here that metta has to be extended to all beings. Sambhavesi means those who are going to be reborn. So we have to keep in mind that any moment, any given moment, there are a lot of beings who are going to be reborn. Right? Sambhavesi. So these two terms are very interesting because it explains about what you call rebirth, right? And then we will discuss more later. We are going to be practicing metta to those who have been born, those who are about to be born. Now, when we talk about those who are about to be born, you might perhaps think, who are these beings? So once somebody departs from any life, that person must look for a body. This could be an instantaneous, very fast kind of a thing. You cannot even think about that. This is another life, right? But in different, even Buddhist schools, they talk about different states, like Bardo, Tibetan Buddhism, they talk about that every being has to go into a Bardo, like an intermediate state of life. But we don't believe that in we don't call Theravada, early Buddhism. In early Buddhism, the Buddha clearly says, once now samsaric consciousness departs, it won't traverse because, well, there's a certain traversing, but once it departs, it latches on to another rupa, can survive without another rupa. But if we are to think about whether there is a certain interval of life, we can understand it in a way that a certain being out of a bad karma, or the last thought, is to be reborn in a bad place, maybe for a week. But because of the habitual karmas, good karmas, preponderance of multiple good karmas this person must have been doing his or her life before she passes away, he or she could get a chance to die within a week and to be reborn in a better. You could say intermediate state, but it's not intermediate state. These are two states, two lives actually. If you take, for instance, Mallika's life, Kosala Mallika passed away by thinking a bad thing she did, and then she was reborn in a hell for 1 week, it is said. Then after 1 week, she was reborn in a better place, in heaven, right? So the lady who gave the best dana, the most important dana to the Gautama Buddha, was reborn in a hell for a week. And then she was being able to be reborn in a good place after that 1 week. That means our thoughts matter, right? Because you never know what time when we're going to die. So, Sambhavesi. The last statement here has to be understood in a proper way. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhita. Sabbe means all. Satta. Satta means beings. This word has to be discussed. Satta. Have you ever found out any other place, any other context with the Pali word called Satta? Anybody has ever found out any other context where you saw the Pali word Satta, S-A-T-T long A? Have you ever heard this Pali word Bodhisattva? Bodhisattva. Who is a Bodhisattva? Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva. Say, who is a Bodhisattva?
Buddha to be, Bhante.
Buddha to be is one way of looking at it. And if you go by a very literal translation, now it is a contextual translation, which we do normally in our class. But if you go by a literal translation, how do we separate out the words? How do we understand them separately? Bodhi means the Four Noble Truths, right? Bodhi Bucchati Chatusu Maggesu Jnana. So this perfect knowledge of the Four Noble Truths, especially when it comes to the Samma Sambuddha, they understand the Four Noble Truths under Tiparivatta and Dvadasankara, not like us. What we call three aspects and 12 perspectives. See Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, you can see the Tiparivatta, Dvadasankara. They are pretty special to some bodhisattva, then become a Samma Sambuddha. Yeah, that is Bodhi. Satta. Now the Pali word Satta means someone engaged, attached. Someone who is engaged, attached. Now, what is this engagement in terms of a bodhisattva? Is somebody who is onto the Four Noble Truths. Now, if we leave out the bodhi part, then you only left with satta. That means we are sattas. We have no bodhi. Yeah? We are called as sattas, not bodhisattvas. And Mahayana, they have a very good idea saying that you all are bodhisattvas. You are a bodhisattva, so I'm a bodhisattva. Everybody is bodhisattvas. Don't do anything wrong to each other. Interesting, right? But when you say you are not enlightened, you are a sattva. I am an enlightened person. You have to listen to me. You have not developed certain practices. That could certainly create certain spiritual, I would say, boundaries between two people, among others. Idea is good. I mean, because we have to believe that bodhicitta is available in anybody, isn't it? We never know. Why do we call everybody here? You are just good to be an arahant one day. You only look for becoming an arahant. That is a bad way of looking at it. We never know, because somebody might have already practiced bodhisattva things in his or her previous life. We never know. So, one of the schools we call Theravada. Theravada is always asking, the practice is that three types of bodhis: Savaka, Arahanta, Pacceka Buddha, and Sammas. So these are choices. We are not saying that one has to only focus on becoming an Arahant. Who knows? There may be somebody who is doing better than becoming an Arahant among us. We never know, right? Can we say that? Can we just look at somebody's practice? You are only doing dana. See, I've been practicing meditation. Probably something else. So I don't think you are going to be a Buddha. So we cannot say like that, because different individuals have been carrying from past life a lot of things. Maybe the bodhisattva things. Maybe that person may be able to become a Samma Sambuddha one. Maybe a Pacceka. The bare minimum status is becoming an Arahant. So that's why we have to understand that when you say Satta, the general idea of Satta means somebody who has attached to the sensual pleasures. Normal idea. Satta, attach, engage in the sensual pleasures, more or less. Now, when you say Bodhisattva, someone who is engaged onto the exploration of the Four Noble Truths with Tiparivatta and Dvadasankara, comes to Samma Sambuddha. Same is for Pacceka Buddha, because we know the slight difference between Pacceka Buddha and Sammasambuddha is that Pacceka Buddhas are not able to deliver the message because they do not understand the Panyati concepts. Because let's say Sammasambuddha understands the Dhamma, but in order for him to tell that message to others, he has to understand the local language, local message, how to conceptualize. Otherwise, he cannot deliver the message. Pacceka Buddhas are not able to do as such. Other than that, their enlightenment is same. So, Satta means living beings. If it is a literal translation, it could be attached to sensual. Those beings who are Satta means attached. Now, Sabbe Satta, all living beings. Bhavantu, plural of Bhavati. Right? Bhavati means be or become. Bhavantu. This Pali word also should be discussed. And also the contextual translation of Satta, which Samita mentioned, Buddha, right? So Bodhisattva, the one who is going, Bodhi aspirant, someone who is going to become Buddha. So now in some of the schools, we understand a certain process where you see that if somebody wants to become a Bodhisattva, that person has to be given an approval by another Buddha, Sammasambuddha. You can see how the Dipankara Sammasambuddha granted or maybe gave the precise statement about Niyata Vyakarana about our Shakyamuni Sammasambuddha. How the Shakyamuni Sambuddha gave the precise statement Niyata Vyakarana about the future Maitreya Sammasambuddha. This is what we learn from the Kuddaka Nikaya, right? One of the books, what we call Buddha Vansa, right? The Buddha Vansa talks about how to become a Bodhisattva and what are the different kind of Bodhisattvas and all that, right? Anyways, Sabbe Satta, Bhavantu Sukhitatta. The word Sukhitatta has to be discussed. See the word? Sukhitatta. How do we separate out this Pali word? Sukhitatta. Sukhi means happiness.
Happy.
Then what could be the other Pali word? Atta, right? Right. The other Pali word is Atta. Sukhitatta. That means may everybody have a happy life that is true to oneself. Very interesting, right? In other words, we could say what we call one who has a pleased self. Now there you can see Sukhita Atta. Show you here. Sukhita Atta, Sukhitatta. Sukhita Atta. Now Buddha talks about Atta. Why does the Buddha talk about Atta? Because we have to believe that Atta exists at the conventional level. In our normal life, Atta exists. Now there are people say, hey, we are Anatta, we don't have anything Atta. Then who is going through the pain? Who has the heart, chest pain? Who has the knee pain? Who is going through the surgery? A philosophically sophisticated person might not know, it's not me, it's my Panchakanda going through the surgery. Right? Somebody might say like that, my Panchakanda, not me, yeah? Then who is Panchakanda? Is that you or somebody else? So that means we have to accept the Buddha clearly mentions Atta exists at a conventional level, not the ultimate high level. A certain high spiritual level, Atta does not exist. But at our normal, general life level, Atta exists. That's why we have to take care of us. We need self-care. Even the Metta practice should be starting from ourselves, to do more Metta to us. Right? That's where people torture themselves. That's where people don't even, sometimes they don't understand. They just becoming drained in their energy, physical, mental, spiritual. So the Buddha says, The wish goes this way, the phrase, Sabbe Satta Bhavantu Sukhita. May all living beings have a please self. Now, when you say self in this context, you could also say joyous heart, because when you say self, we understand where happiness comes from. So this true happiness has to come from the heart, not just from the mind, right? Sometimes you are happy in the mind, but you are not happy in your heart. Does it happen to all of us? Mentally, you are happy. Hey, you passed the exam, and you are not demoted. You are promoted, and you're doing very well. So you could change your thoughts. Probably you can make yourself happy, but down the line, your heart says a different story. They always say this to people. People learn a lot of Dhamma, but Dhamma does not go to their heart. In many people's lives, they all go to their thought structure. They know everything. If they are asked, hey, what is it? Yeah. Panchakanda, Anicca Dukkha Anatta, Kamma, Nibbana, Vidhamma. But a good set of Dhamma structure has not gone to their heart. That means happiness lies at two levels, thought level and then the heart level. Now, when we understand mudita, another state of mind, this mudita arises from that happy heart, not even the happy mind, but happy thoughts and happy heart. That means in order for us to congratulate someone, in order for us to understand someone's happiness, we have to develop our heart. Now, this is what the Buddha says. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. May all living beings have a happiness that arises from their heart, not from their thoughts only. Initially, it might go to our thoughts, because that is where we are structuring, understanding, perceiving any event, what is happening around and beyond us. But then that has to go down to the heart. Now, why a lot of people, they are coming up with jealous thoughts about others? They are congratulating, they are saying that they are happy, but they are not really happy, because that particular thought has not gone to their heart. So they are struggling a lot. Maybe they are not sharing with others, but they are struggling. So sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. Sukhita atta. Atta means self. Now I would call this self in a figurative, in a contextual form that is similar to the heart. When you say self is happy, it's not the panchakanda. That means definitely your the happiness that can arise from your bottom of your heart. That's why people say wholeheartedly, bottom of my heart. They want to explain their those states of minds. So by the end of this stanza, it talks about sukhitatta. That means sukhita atta. Okay, before we go into further details, I would like to know any questions that you may have, so we can discuss anything that is left to discuss.
Bhante, can you Bhante explain again what is bhavantu? Bhavantu, the last phrase.
Bhavat. Do you mean here sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta? Bhavatu means a singular. Let's say if I wish someone only one person, then I use bhavatu. But if I say bhavantu means I wish for many people. Now in Metta Sutta, we don't wish only for one person, right? So it has to be bhavantu, plural of the bhu, verb stem bhu. Now if you could say bhavatu sabba mangala rakhantu sabba deva. Bhavatu sabba mangala rakhantu sabba. So I am going to, definitely it says I am going to wish one person. So that person wishes another person. Not bhavantu. right? But there are certain other stanzas we understand. Bhavantu, like here. Singular, plural.
Okay, thank you so much, Bhante.
Now, when you say Sukhi Hotu, one person, huh? Sukhi Hotu. Hotu means one. But if you want to say, may all you be well, Sukhi Hontu. Hotu Hontu. So Hontu is plural. That's a grammatical thing. Somebody might say, if I have the thoughts, why do I worry about the grammar? It's another way to look at it. But we have to learn. If I have the good wishes, why I care about this Pali grammar? It is a way to look at it. But we have to understand how these grammatical things work in a certain way, which are very important. Not to learn all these grammar things, which might take another probably unnecessary area. Then you might forget about the Dhamma, then you will learn about the language. This is what happens to many people who go to a Pali class. Our purpose to learn Pali is to learn how to understand Dhamma, not to learn it as a language. You go to certain other secular perspectives. Right? Any questions about this stanza? Yes, Susan.
Thank you. I'd like a question about the consciousness leaving the body. Are these consciousness in transferring, looking for a new life, a new rebirth, are they the ones in the Tirukkuda Sutta outside the walls?
What's the second part? Tirukkuda Sutta?
The consciousnesses that are waiting for a new body, a new life, are they the consciousnesses waiting outside the walls in the Tirukkuda Sutta?
Interesting. Now, when we die, our consciousness, death means consciousness is leaving. Actually, a good way to look at it is that death means the existing consciousness has to leave. That is the process. Once the consciousness departs from somebody's life, that person is dead. At the same time, consciousness must find a physical body. At the moment, we call it sansaric consciousness, bhavan consciousness departs. Now, going back to the Tirukkuda Sutta, they have become beings already, petas. They are not just consciousnesses. They have a subtle, invisible bodies. So it is not a consciousness that stays for long. Consciousness cannot stay for long. Those are petas. They have been already reborn in a peta realm. We call them Jnati Peta. So they have a subtle body. They have a body. They have a rupa, but we cannot see. But they have a subtle body. So they have gone on to a what you call full-fledged life as a peta. Yeah.
Bhante?
Yes.
Hello. May I ask
Yes,
question?
Christine. Yes.
Yes, sorry, I just joined. I want to ask, is the consciousness same as Vijnana? Is that?
Okay. Now, there are different types of consciousnesses we have to understand. Till we live, till we pass away in one life, there are a lot of vinyanas. One Pali word, famous Pali word for consciousness, vinyana. So there are two types of vinyanas. We have one is sensory vinyana. The other one is the sansaric vinyana. So when the sansaric vinyana took roots in one particular body as a consequence of the death, then that sansaric vinyana cannot work alone. Sansaric vinyana needs other subordinate, subsequent sensory vinyanas. It's like when you understand there is a big tree. In terms of the photosynthesis, these large trees are happy to have another small tree. Maybe a couple other trees next to them. So they are sharing the food in the context of the photosynthesis, food science. So in the same way, sansaric consciousness, once it goes to another life with the body, then sansaric consciousness stays there. But what is working after that is mostly the one life specific vinyanas. We call them sensory vinyanas. Chakku vinyana, eye consciousness, sota vinyana, ear consciousness, and as such. So, yes, the Pali word is vinyana. The vinyana that I'm talking is the Brahma type of vinyana, the highest vinyana. That means the vinyana that you call that your karmas exist, sankharas exist. So that vinyana has to leave a body. But let's say that vinyana came to one body. Then after that, that vinyana exists with the support of other sensory vinyanas that are specific to that particular life. Make sense?
Thank you, Bhante. Bhante, can I ask, can you explain a bit about this avijja pachaya sankhara, sankhara pachaya vijnana? How this, some they call it volition formation, the sankhara. Can you just explain about this? Thank
Okay,
you.
so now Paticca Samuppada, the central conception of Buddhism, discusses about the nature of our sansaric life. Now, why we are reborn? It is because of different conditional factors. Now, they are in the process of the dependent origination. You see vinyana. This vinyana is arising because of the sankharas, right? Sankhara pachaya vinyana. Now, sankhara means our past karmas, right? So, we have some issues in translating the Pali word sankhara at that point. Sankhara there means, I would say, formations too, because our past karmas, good or bad karmas, when we have not stopped, existing in the samsara, then what happens? Our sankharas are creating vinyanas. So that's what we have to understand with the Patisamupada's version of sankhara. There are different translations, volitional formations as such, but sankhara means our past karmas. Now we are making karmas even now. These sankhara, present sankhara. Now we, at the moment also, we are making sankharas by learning Dhamma, discussing and all that. And after this discussion, maybe you are reviewing the sankharas. So it's a whole lot of sankharas all the time. But the Pali word, keep this in mind, the Pali word sankhara has different contexts. One context is, the main context is past karmas, good karmas, whatever karmas. Let's say karmas. Another context is whatever that has been made by another thing is called sankhara. Whatever that has not been made by something else is called asankhara. That is between conditioned and deconditioned stuff, or unconditioned. What is that context of sankhara? That context of sankhara means what you call everything that is made out of something else. That means viola sankharas. What is not made out of sankhara is nibbana. That's why we call it asankata. So that is another context. Even the Buddha's last message was about it. The Buddha says, Vaya dhamma sankhara appamade sampade. His last message just before he passed away. Vaya dhamma sankhara. All sankharas are transient. To strive on with diligence. That is another context of sankhara. It is from the sankhara regarding the karma that we discuss here, and in regard to the Patisamupada's version of sankhara. And another context of sankhara is kaya sankhara, chitta sankhara, vachi sankhara. This is another context. So there are many types of sankharas that we have to understand according to the context. Let's talk about today's stanza. Any questions about today's stanza? About I discussed with you about visibility, location, and then the status of life. So we have to look at these three aspects about metta. Yes, and
Bhante, we were told before that we should not radiate metta to those who have passed away.
what is it? We have
To those who have passed away.
yes.
So now that Bhante say that those about to be born, if they have passed away, means they will be about to be born too, right, Bhante?
No, we never know. That is a process. Now, for human beings, unenlightened human beings, what we know is somebody lives with us, somebody passes him. This is the only separation we know. But if you are someone who understands from an enlightened person's perspective, then we can understand, yes, when someone passes away, there might be an instantaneous, very short time possible. Somebody might go through this, what you call Sambhavesi process. I think we all may have a Sambhavesi process, but it might be different from one to one, right? But when you are supposed to practice metta, you are going to think about, even though I don't understand how does Sambhavesi work, but my metta, let my metta be on you too. Sambhavesi, Bhuta, Peta, whoever. Bhuta, Peta, Sambhavesi. That's a good way of looking at it, right? Bhuta means beings who are living with us. Peta means who already have passed away. If I want to think about more things about this Peta, then there may be a Sambhavesi stage before they becoming Peta.
So if we were already sending metta to the person before he passed away, and when he had passed away, we should stop sending metta to him or her?
We should not stop our metta at any time, because we don't know kind of a mathematical process of how things work for them. Now, let's say what happened to Kosala Mallika. She has done the greatest good karma, but she still went to the hell, right? Even for a short time. So that means on our side, because we are very ignorant about this sansaric process in a way about how things actually happen to people. We know dukkha and nibbana and all that Four Noble Truths, but we never know how things really work to different individuals. So that means till we pass away, we have to practice our practice without making a problem of what is actually happening to them, because we never know them. So we continue our metta till we pass away, because we don't know what's happening to them. Now, say for instance, one good example is you are going to a vihara temple doing dana to your departed ones. But do you know whether your departed one was already reborn or not? Maybe, maybe not. But does it mean that you have to stop giving dana? No. You have to keep giving the dana, because that is what you can know, that is what you know, that is what you can understand. But on their side, they may have been reborn in a good place where they might not need good karmas also. Perhaps they might still need good karmas. Only some people understand this, because unfortunately, I have some troubles from some ghost, some spirits in my house. That means they have not yet taken the good karmas. This is one example. But for many other people, they don't know what has happened to others, those who have passed away, whether they have gone or whether they are with them. Right? So sometimes we can understand, sometimes, most of the times we don't understand what may have happened to them. But as a good Dhamma practitioner, we are continuing all these good things. Dana, Sila, Bhavana, and all these good things. Yes, Zika. Can you unmute your mic, please? Yes.
Sorry. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, Bhante. We have been actually learning that we don't believe in interim state. yeah, when Rishi passed on. So the life form is actually immediate after we pass away, right? So there is
That
actually
is
no
what it is said
interim
in the
state.
text.
So back to this, right? So back to this Bhuta and Sambhavesi state. What I'm trying to actually understand is, what about those conceived and waiting to be reborn, like those in the womb, in egg or embryo, whatever? Conceived, are they considered as Bhuta or Sambhavesi? Thank you, Bhante.
Now here, what we need to understand is Sambhavesi is not a certain different type of beings. Sambhavesi is a state that happens to all of us. Sambhavesi is not an intermediate state here. Sambhavesi means once we pass away, there may be a very shortest time that the consciousness is going to browse a certain another life, maybe a very shortest time. Because, right, it's like a baton. I mean, in a marathon, let's say there are a couple players at different places. So somebody's carrying the baton to the other player. So he has to grab it and then to go to the other place. That means when there is this turning point happening, there may be a slight time that the consciousness is taken to browse a certain better place. So what we understand is Sambhavesi is not a separate state that only some individuals are going through. Right? That means this is a state, very shortest time that everybody are going through once we pass away. Not like one day, maybe many hours, maybe 1 month. Again, if you go to some other countries, they say, especially, this is an interesting dimension of the dana. If you go to Sri Lanka, they say, we are going to do the 7-day dana. 7-day dana. That means the departed one is waiting for 7 days to get your dana, good karma. Say, how come? Why are you trying to keep him or her waiting for 7 days? Do some dana maybe. Well, if you go to the temple, the monks are advising, hey, 7-day dana. Yes, can do that. But before that, you can do your own dana in a better way. So then they are discussing, now our house is full of petas because you've been waiting, you have been keeping them in the house for long. Because once they pass away, give some good karmas. But ceremonially, you might not be able to do it because temple structures, temple cultures have their own way of performing these activities. Because their schedules are busy and you have to invite them early. This kind of. So other than that, we don't have to wait. That means Sambhavesi is not a state of intermediate state. Sambhavesi means very normal, natural thing that happens to everybody of us when we pass it. The shortest time, maybe a finger snap, and then we are going to be reborn. So we are thinking that at this moment of time, even now, this moment of time, 7-11 in your time, how many Sambhavesis might be there, those who just passed away just now at this moment? And they are making their time onto a good life or a bad life. So rather than taking Sambhavesi as a misperceived understanding about the intermediate state, I would like to ask you to think about that Sambhavesi is a state that we all will go through for a shortest time possible in order to go to the next life. It's not a time of hours, maybe not a time of minutes also, maybe a very slight nanosecond, probably a portion of that nanosecond. Because consciousness has to reroute, browse, depending on the good karmas and all that. But because of the cultures that have been existing after the Buddha's time, they have brought it to certain ideas, like the Tibet Buddhists, they are talking about a Bardo state. Mahayana, they talk about the intermediate state. Even some Theravada schools, they talk about the 7-day dana. A very interesting one. Why do they ask us to do 7-day dana? For 7 days, your peta is in your house, right? So they are trying to say the peta is around. So wait for 7 days. maybe they are saying you cannot give good karmas and ask them to go before 7 days. You have to wait for 7 days. 7 days done. Right? But the idea that we see in the early Pali Suttas is that once someone passes away, give good karmas. It's not a timeline for them. But the today's idea is not about the Peta or Sambhavesi. We have to give metta to all these beings, all the Sambhavesi, all the other beings. Right? Now, then there are some other areas that are in conflict. Huh? When you hear about a certain being, they are trying to chase the being out of the house, doing some, certain things. In early Buddhist suttas, we don't see chasing the Buddhas, chasing the Petas out of the houses. The Buddha says, give good karmas, give good karmas with lots of metta, and ask them, can you peacefully go out of my house? Then, as we learn in the Tirokota Sutta, they say, oh, you are not very selfish. You're doing a good karma and you are also thinking about us. Then they are peacefully. When Petas get to understand, these people are giving lots of danas, but they never think about us, they're going to trouble you. Like what happened to Bimbisara. King Bimbisara, remember? King Bimbisara offered that big temple, Velvanarama. He did not think about his past Petas. And Petas got upset about it. They got mad about this. So they appeared in a bad dream. And they said 4 letters, do, sir, na, so. Then the Bimbisara was quite thoughtless. What are these letters? Do, sir, na, so. So he went to see the Buddha. He said, Buddha, I saw a very bad dream. There were some people who were naked, who were saying 4 letters, but I don't know what they mean. Then the Buddha said, these were your friends, other people who were with you in your past life. But they were watching you. Today you did a great karma, but you did not think about it. Right? So other than that, what we need to understand is, out of metta, we are going to do our transference of good karma to them. Metta is the most important thing here. Right? Any other questions? Yes, Paripurna.
I think, can I ask, when we say unseen, right? Unseen beings, does it cover like microorganisms like bacteria, yeast? Are they considered beings, or are they like plants? We don't share merits to them, or do we need to share merits to them? Yeah. Thank you, Bhante.
They must be included, definitely, because they cannot be seen without certain scientific tools. They must be. They are. Now, initially, Aditya means any being that you cannot see, especially those non-humans, Petas, Devas, hellish beings, and Bhutas. But now, according to science, we understand even certain tiny structures cannot be seen through our naked eye. So definitely, those bacteria, virus, and those beings too. Yeah.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes. But how to practice metta to a bacteria? Interesting. I mean, because let's say we got a bacterial infection. We are not saying that, hey, may you be well and happy, right? At that point, we have to bring our metta to a wise practice, right? Because if you get sick, then you are not able to practice your Dhamma thing. At the same time, when you go see the doctor, doctor is prescribing, let's say you have a skin problem, it's a bacterial infection. So yes, because you are not taking care of your skin, then the bacteria is going to multiply, and then this might harm your life also at a certain point. So you're going to see a doctor at an early stage. Doctor is prescribing something. But when you come home, if you're going to take the medication, tonight may all my bacteria pass away, this might be an issue, because you are trying to think about the the, what you call, recovery from that skin infection in a way that you want to kill them. But you are taking the medication just to recover yourself, because recovering yourself is important to practice more Dhamma, right? That is how we're going to look at it. That is how we're going to practice metta to these bacteria, virus, and all these, beings. Yeah. So they are included. Ditta, aditta. Is it important to really consider about the visible beings around our area? Yes. I think we are going to discuss this in another stanza, but just to give you some heads up about it. Let's say someone is living in an area where there are lots of snakes. Someone who's living in an area where there are lots of elephants. Someone who's living in an area where there are lots of other, probably venomous, other animals. So the Buddha says that it is very important to understand your surroundings. Why is it? That is how you can easily practice metta. Remember the story I think I already shared with you, Thanda Paritta, where metta, where a loving kindness monk who himself had himself, I am practicing loving kindness, metta. So he was seen to other monks as kind of a role model, always practicing metta. And then one day he was bitten by a snake in the temple where the Buddha was living too. He passed away. And then the other monks reported this to the Buddha. Hey, Bhante, there is something wrong over you. You are always talking about that. When you practice metta, miracles happen, right? But see, this monk has been practicing metta. He was bitten by the snake and he passed away. I said, yes, I know. He's been practicing metta and he passed away. But there is something that he did not practice. His metta practice was not inclusive. It's a very, I would say, it's not a structured metta practice that we see in the Metta Sutta. It's just a metta practice without XYZ details. The Buddha says he did not particularly practice metta to certain reptiles. And he actually detailed them. Virupak, Era, Tannagut, Chabya. These are 4 large groups of reptiles, which includes all these snakes, black snakes, pythons, vipers, and all these animals. So those reptiles did not feel his metta. So he stepped on one of the reptiles out of these 4 groups, and that snake did not feel his metta, and then he was bitten by that snake. What does this mean? This means that wherever you are in your locality, you must be able to understand who those animals are around you. It might be a cockroach, it might be other tiny creature. Then when you practice metta, you can understand these are the animals, tiny ones, reptiles, other animals around. Not even animals, even the humans. You might particularly do metta to all the good ones. May my kalyana mittas be well and happy. But you are not understanding who is around. Maybe you might be surrounded by a lot of bad people, probably. Papa mittas sometimes. So they might not feel your metta. So they might give you a lot of trouble every day, because they might not feel it. So you have, when you practice metta, if you are surrounded by such people, maybe people who are troublemakers, gossipers, who are bad-mouthing about others, don't worry about them. What you should worry about them is that whether you include them in your practice, not just say, may all living beings happy. I understand there are troublemakers around me, and may this metta go to them. May they be well. So that kind of a radiation of metta is important. It means the epicenter should be understood, located where you are. Then you are spreading metta to other people around you. So that's why the Buddha said, Ditta, you see them around you. Additta, you don't see them around you. That is how you're going to practice metta in the proper way. Right? Now, it's like the story of Samavati and Magantia. Remember the story? Samavati and Magantia are co-queens to King Uday. So in this story, you understand, Magantia was very unhappy about the co-queen, and she went and threw some hot water onto her body. She was safe. But if, as an enlightened person who has that sense of metta, is thinking, okay, pour some hot water onto me, I have metta. That's not going to work, because there are different levels of metta. Different people have been practicing metta in a different way. But in order for you to bless from the metta practice, you must understand this Metta Sutta's context and then put it into practice. Yes, Mr. Om?
Yes, Bhante, sorry. Just now about the snakes and the reptiles, how inclusive can you be? I thought verse 4 is very inclusive, like Ekechipana Bhutati, Tasava Tabara, whether you're small or weak or strong, frail. Is that very inclusive, Bhante?
No, that inclusion is from a different dimension. Tasava Tavarava means those who have been feared, those who have not been feared. That is another way to look at it. But now we are talking about this locality. When you talk about the locality, the place, we are surrounded by different other beings. Could be animals, humans, or non-humans. If you feel that, if you see them, now here, Ditta, you see those, now here, reptiles, then you must bring them into your practice. That is how the Buddha says they can sense about your metta. So the previous stanza we discussed in the sense of Tasava Tavarava means feared ones and then non-feared one. That is a different way to look at our metta, practice metta. We have to do that also. When it comes to this level, we are trying to understand who the beings that are surrounding us in our household, outside. Not to make it a mess. Sometimes when you think about a snake, you might feel, this is a little disgusting. But I mean, you're thinking that there are reptiles around, and may all these reptiles be well and happy. That kind of a wish. There are different human beings. There may be non-human beings. Not to get so much attached to these people, but just to think that these beings may exist, that my metta is for them too.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah. Another question? All right, looks like there are no questions. So we are going to transfer good karmas to all living beings. Because we are doing even the transference of good karma, sharing good karmas also out of metta. Because of metta, we are thinking about these people. Right? So we understand metta is such a very structured, deep practice. Not just may I be well and happy. It is also a normal meditation type. It is a very gradual, structured practice. So we have to understand different ways of manifestations of metta. Thereby we are practicing metta very well. This is the plan that we are looking for at the end of the discussion. Metta. Right? May all the good karmas which we've been accumulating today be transferred to all the departed ones. May they be well and happy. May they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idam me jnati sukhita huntu jnatayo. Idam me jnati sukhita huntu jnatayo. Idam me jnati sukhita huntu jnatayo. May Deva Naga Mahitika be well and happy. May they protect and bless all of you for good health, quality of life, prosperity, safety. In particular, may they bless you for your Dhamma journey. May your Dhamma journey be a smooth one. maybe a very consistent, a seamless Dhamma journey, not a dry one. Thinking thus, we're going to wish them, may all the Devanaga Mahitika finally attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu. Ettavataja ammehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavataja ammehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavataja ammehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe sattha anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu kasasanam. Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu desanam. Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu mang pati chirang rakhantu mang sada. Also, in this samsaric journey to attain Nibbana, may we be in the company of Kalyana Mittras, company of Bhaktis. We're going to make a wish thinking about this reflection. Imina punya kammene mame bala samagamu satang samagamu yavanimbana patya. Finally, may all the good karmas which we've been accumulating today be supportive and helpful for all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Abhivadana silissa nichang vadha pachain chattaru dhamma vadhanti ayuvanno sukhang balang ayuravigya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha atho nibbana sampatti iminati saminjatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Wishing you a good evening. See you then next Thursday. It's going to be 22nd.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you very much, Bhante.
Good night, everyone.
Sadhu,
Thank
sadhu.
you, Bhante.
Thank you,
Happy
Bhante.
Chinese New Year.
Good night.
Chinese New Year
Thank
too.
you.
New Year.
Thank you.
Bhante, sadhu Bhante.
Thank you, Bhante. Good night, Bhante.
Good night, everyone.
Bhante still in Japan?
No, I'm in Manila now. Going to Japan now. Tuesday, actually. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Have a safe flight then. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you.
Bye.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Bhante. Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.